Saturday, October 9th. It's about 7:30 in the morning. I wanted to come by here and show you. I should have took a picture of this before, but I didn't do it. My pond had got to where there was hardly any water in it, and there was a muddy spot out in the middle of it, of course, but it had water in it up, I don't know, maybe we can see to right about there, but there was such a mud streak in it, the mud was sticking up out of it about a foot, and it was growing grass on top of the mud. I borrowed my dad's backhoe and dipped a bunch of water out of it and got it to where it was down pretty much. It was slop around the edge, but then my logger Rusty came by with his tracked skid loader and cleaned that out for me. And now I've got a whole bunch of, and the stuff that come out of it didn't look like the mud that comes out of most ponds. It was really soupy, but and you can see my little hay mess over there. I had a bunch of hay give to me, and it was, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old. We set it out over there, but cows have been making a gift out of it. But yeah, there's about twice as much dirt back there as what there ever was. The original bank that was built for that. So I've had my cows on all the pasture they've got here, which is 40-acre hayfield here and 10-acre hayfield up on the road. And so that makes them have real close to 100 acres of pasture here, 120 almost for 30 cows, or 31 cows, 2 bulls, and 31 calves, and they have got her eat down to nothing. It's still green, but I really don't know why. We've been having nice warm temperatures during the day and bright sunshine, but we have not had any significant rain for 3 weeks, maybe longer. And the rain we got then was like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. We're awfully dry. But I've been getting around here and baiting my cows. We're a couple weeks away from catching calves. And it still looks like there's some grass out there, but the only place there's any grass is where the cow pies is. They won't eat that close to them if they can help it. So I'm gonna call my cows over and put out some feed for them. See how that goes. Second time I did this fall, so. Makes quite a little bit of feeder space for all of them, and of course the calves seem to be the most timid, but it's just the second time I've done this to try to get them used to coming in here. The calves will get up there, you can see that right there, is eating with the cows, so, but it takes quite a little bit of feeder space for this number of cows. There's 4 10-foot concrete feeders inside, and then these 2 12-foot feeders. And the ones inside are packed, and all the animals inside are not at the feeder. So hopefully these calves down here get up there and get them a bite of feed and decide they like it. And this is all just part of it. It's just if you train them calves to like that feed at the feeder when they're still on their mamas, they do better when you separate them. They get used to it. No, that's where the feed's at. And we'll actually even feed them in the same feeders when we start them. We'll be starting them in those feeders in there. So. And they'll be in there a couple days before there's any more dumped in with them. I've got, I think there's 8 from Dakota and 5 or 6, 7, something like that I'm getting from Scott. So, and this feed to that I'm trying to get emptied out of my box is really dusty. So I'm kind of trying to get it worked around to where it's cleaned up out of my box to get a little bit better. But as you've seen, my pond's dry down here, and so they have to go quite a little ways for water. So I'm actually, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm running them water in the tank up there right now. Yeah. And I've been trying to do better about keeping it full, but it's not an easy job. And I believe right now I could back out and I would have all of them caught. Ideally, I'd be able to get them all to go into the first pen up there. Then I wouldn't have to do any driving around on them. Sorry about my window being so dirty. Wouldn't have to be doing any driving on them to get them to go on up in there. But it's good to get them used to coming up in here. Now this has been open all summer and they've kept the grass eat down in it pretty good. But and I feed my mineral in here, which keeps them wanting to come back up. And that's what them two calves up there against the barn are eating on now, is mineral block. And this one down here, right there, licking on the mineral block. He's not licking on the ground. He's licking on a mineral block, so that's what that looks like. Bunch of stuff to do today. I'm gonna try to grind a little feed. I've got a friend of mine was wanting some corn, so I bought some extra. I'm gonna run it through the mill and crack it so it's ready for him to come pick up. I think he said he might come tomorrow. I don't know, I hope. Anyway, get me some more feed made up, put in this box, so I'll be good to go to feed cows next week. And I think it's the last week of this month, the last Monday of this month, I think, is when we're going to try to catch stuff. So, and this is just the 8th, so I got another 18 days of doing this. I may not do this every day. We probably won't do this every day, but maybe every other day, or I may feed them tomorrow, so I have 2 days in a row, but not feed them on Sunday. It just helps get things a lot better. Plus, it gets them used to being around me, and like talking right now even gets them used to being around the noise of me having to talk. So when if I have to have some help to get them separated, it will be pretty easy to tell that they've been around me and used to hearing me talk. It helps. So we'll see what I'm doing next. Lighting's pretty bad, but I got the old Super M sitting here getting ready to grind a little feed. I want y'all to be able to see. I checked the Earl on him, and you can't see it at all, but it's good. Oil's all good. I go through a kind of a little regiment here to get this thing to run. Gotta turn my fuel on. Always unhook the battery because I want it to run the next time. Pull the choke of hair and it don't start. Not too bad for a 70-year-old tractor, huh? Now we gotta push the clutch and turn the PTO on, so learned you don't want to run it real fast or it just grinds that corn to powder, even though I got a pretty good sized screen in it. And I'm all set up. I got the first bucket load of corn there ready to go in, so maybe I'll show you some of what I'm doing when I get to put some in a box. Pretty loud here, but I loaded this mixer. We're up to the top there, 6. Let's see what the thing says. Ground shell corn at 6. It's supposed to be 3,500 pounds, but I haven't never had that be anywhere near what I thought was right. But I'm gonna load some in this box for my buddy John. And I figured out 25 bushels is going to come to that ink mark right there on the side, level full. So let's see what kind of dust we can make out of this deal. I would let that auger down, but it's really hard to get it back up. So we're going to try to just hit it from there. I think that's going to be just about perfect. Just ground shell corn here, and I'm going to mix some oats in with it a little bit. Well, looks like I got company. Probably have to stop this. Well, I got a bite to eat, and now I've got a load of feed made up for Dad. We're to take down to him. It's for our heifers. So we're going to see how full I can get this wagon of his. Plan. It said we would have had 2 ton made up, and that's what this wagon's supposed to hold, but I'm thinking that it either holds more than that, or my deal when it says it has 2 ton in it is not quite 2 ton. Pull it up in a minute. That's the AC5050. It's all onto it. Dad's tractor, we're sending it back home after it's raked hay for us all summer. I maybe should have checked the tires on that wagon. It's been sitting in the barn all summer. We're a couple weeks away from weaning heifers, but I've got some feed that's kind of or some grain that's not quite as good that I'm gonna grind up and use to bait my cows with. We had it almost full, which it says it'd be 5,000 pounds or really close to it. See. Not a lot, anything else to it, just almost completely just ground corn, but it'll work. It'll work. Experience anyway, this stuff keeps just about as good in this wagon as it does anywhere we keep it. It's got a fitted tarp. Dad had a fitted tarp made for it, and because it's got that board standing on edge up in there, it sheds off all the water, so it does really good. I may have to make another jag to fill it, I don't know. So getting the work down in there. We'll see. Well, I didn't get enough in Dad's little auger wagon, and I had to make him another load. And since then, I've ground up a bunch of wheat that we had in a box here for way over a year. I thought I would use it for some seed. But it turned out I didn't need it. And so I ground some milo that I just cut, and this corn, and some of that wheat. The screen I've got in there's got big holes in it, so the wheat and the milo, a lot of it did get cracked. But that's okay. This is cow feed filler extraordinaire, just to get them to want to come up, and they'll get some good out of it too. Dry enough, they need something a little extra right now. And I did, let's see, I had it up almost to the top of the second window, and I'm really not aiming to put a lot in my truck all at once. I can see it starting to pile up in there. I think I'll shut it off. My old truck gets a lot too much weight on it when I go delivering firewood and have that box full of feed. But I am going to feed quite a little bit of it, so it won't stay full of feed. I ran through more than half a bucket of gas I put in the M a while ago. Of course, I left it running for several hours, grinding feed, dumping it in that wagon, and probably more time than it's run all at once in a long time. Super M. it'll have gas next time. And know it'll have power. So I got all that ready. I have to go back around the back, push my auger over. I'm almost done. It's after quitting time sawmill, so I am, and it's Friday. So I'm ready for QT. That would have been easier with two hands. Super M, dandy old tractor. I had a little story in here. My Super M, I bought that tractor with a loader on it and the motor was stuck. Somebody went through a lot of trouble. It has it'll be a 53 Super M first stage, and they added live pump, MW pump to it. And I don't know, that may be a factory, or not a factory, but an aftermarket tank. Sets in there where the belt pulley should go. And a dual spool valve right there by the seat. Really done a good job of extending the deck out and putting that on there. And those hydraulics ran the front end loader, and they used this two-way valve that the first stage Super M's had to run the 3-point had on it. And like I say, when I got it, it did not run. Motor was stuck. And I worked on it just a little bit. I got the motor loose. But I'd already done decided that wasn't no sense in having a narrow front end tractor with no power steering to have a front end loader on it. And believe it or not, I had this tractor quite a little bit before I got this grinder mixer and started making my own feed. I borrowed a grinder mixer first year. I got this tractor and used it to grind some corn, and it worked so good and could fill my truck right off from that. So I bought this one from a local to me equipment trader, and I think last year we would have paid for all the equipment that I've got to make feed with, except the skid steer. Of course, I got it to do so much other stuff. The tractor, I gave $500 for it with front end loader on it, and I sold the front end loader off for $500. So I just about got that one for nothing, for cheap. I had to go get it. I had to do the work to make it run, but it runs real good. Has not used a quart of oil, making the last, well, I checked it before we did today, and it made 18 tons, 17 tons of feed last year for us. So, and that's about it for today. It is after quitting time here at the sawmill, and I am going to the house. Thanks for watching my videos. Hope y'all are doing well, and we'll catch you on the next one.